Two free. Oh,
We're live.
are we live?
You're in the show. Everyone can see and hear you. Congratulations.
I have no idea.
No, we're live, buddy.
We live? Oh, okay. I see the YouTube comment. So maybe we're also live on LinkedIn. I don't know. Moral of the story: if anyone's watching, learn how to use the streaming software before you have to show up and do the stream. Highly recommend that. That's the order you do things in.
We're starting off with what we are completely unqualified to do.
Yeah, that's the only way to do it. Well, one of us in this room is qualified to talk about cyber insurance, so at least we have that part covered, correct?
I have my paperwork and everything, fully licensed and vetted.
But that is something you were saying. You can't take that away from me. You can get that paperwork taken away, Dustin.
You can get the pay. Don't be shady. I had someone tell me, one of the Texas regulation guys, I was at an event recently, and he said something along the lines of, I'm very paraphrasing, but basically get all the DUIs that you want. But the example is somebody got their license revoked because they stole a copier from their office, which I thought was a very interesting choice of theft.
Yeah.
Maybe it's worth a lot. They were selling it, but yeah, any financial crimes are what get you into trouble, and get your license revoked pretty quickly. So,
well, there are copiers that are like over the $10,000 limit, so it might just be like a felony misdemeanor thing.
If you steal a big enough copier, you get in even more trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that the lesson here today? If you're going to steal a printer, get a small one. Get one you can carry under your arm.
I think the lesson is, if you're going to steal a printer, do it before you become licensed to sell insurance.
There you go.
That's at least the advice I would have. Yeah. Weird takeaways that still somehow work.
Yeah.
Maybe we should start with you introduce yourself, I introduce myself. Why should anyone be listening to us in any capacity? Might be a good
point. If they're bored.
Yeah. Why don't you go? I'll let you go.
Yeah, so Dustin Bolander got into, I actually went to college I was going to be an engineer. I don't know if I've ever told you that.
No.
I did not finish, but I actually have enough credits for a mathematics minor. So I'm like 10% of the math nerd that you are. But I started off working help desk at night to pay for school, and then never ended up leaving IT. Bought a MSP off of the founder back in 2011, sold that one in 2018. And because I'm a crazy person, I had to carve out for law firms. So turned around, started doing some consulting, and in 2019 started Clear Guidance Partners, law firm focused MSP. And 2021 got really annoyed at insurance, got involved very heavily, spent way too much time on insurance. Beltex was actually set up as a subsidiary of another company, that we were going to be one of the, most people would call it a carrier. If you're an insurance nerd, technically there's a carrier called Spinnaker that created this policy, and we are the exclusive distributor for it. And now we're doing a bunch of other fun, cool insurance things. I'm actually jumping on an airplane tomorrow to head to Lloyd's of London. So it's like the insurance mecca. I'm nerding out a little bit, I'm not going to lie.
Insurance mecca, that sounds like the second most boring place in the world to me.
But I got my fancy 3-piece suit packed, and we're going to go do fancy insurance things. And
do you actually like have a vest and everything, not just the sport coat?
I'll send you pictures, buddy.
I'll take them.
It's Lloyd's. You can't wear jeans in there. There's a dress code.
There's a dress code? Well, what if you could just wear jeans material, like black jeans are a thing. That
Canadian tuxedo.
Yeah.
Jean suit.
Exactly. Jean suit would work with a sleeveless vest.
Ooh.
Sleeveless vest. Next year. Got it. I'll put a bug in your ear before this time next year so that you can wear that.
All right, now you got to introduce.
I'm Connor. I am one of the co-founders of FinSecurity. We do security awareness training and phishing simulation for the MSP industry. Kind of fell backwards into this company by accident. I was just very upset that nobody would buy any cybersecurity tools that I was building. And so I just started walking into businesses and started talking to anyone that would listen about what they would buy if I could build it. And a lot of people complained about users making mistakes, employees making mistakes that cost them money or time. And now here we are. 4 years later, I've turned it into a career, and that's how that worked. And
The
cyber,
phishing leader.
yeah. Well, and cyber insurance, one of the things that cyber insurance typically requires is awareness training, which is why one, I'm so interested in it, but also two, one of the biggest drivers for adoption of awareness training is that your cyber insurance mandates it, and that's why a lot of people started reaching out to us. So, cyber
Yeah, as
insurance.
much of as you know, in the IT space, I mentioned I'm a hardcore IT guy by trade, exchange certification. I got a MCSE, all that fun stuff. So whenever I say we, as in IT guys, as MSPs, as much as everyone kind of hates cyber insurance for all the dumb stuff it does, I do think kind of the biggest good thing that happened is, go back to 2019, 2018, where an MSP could go in and the majority of their clients were, it's like, man, Connor, I need you to do MFA. I need you to do security awareness training. Everybody's, oh, it's difficult. It's expensive, blah, blah, blah. That's kind of table stakes at this point. And I think insurance is largely to thank for that, especially in the small business space. So that's the biggest, what's the best thing that cyber insurance has done for actual cybersecurity is MFA and security awareness training just becoming standard. You really don't have to argue with companies like you used to. You don't have to beg and plead and threaten to get them to do it.
Yeah, I've never been an MSP, so I can't. I can empathize, but I don't quite understand what that's like to have to beg somebody to. Well, actually, I kind of do. I have asked my parents to put MFA on their email accounts for so long because if even one of their accounts gets breached and taken over, it's like the entirety of my parents' lives goes away. It's like everything is attached to those email addresses. And I imagine there's a similar thing here for business, the clients that MSPs serve as well.
They are because of that. They are actually offering personal cyber insurance now.
Really?
Yeah. Which at first I was like, this is a scam. Personal cyber insurance is an actual scam, but it kind of makes sense whenever you think about it that way, right? I had somebody that called me the other day for a referral, and she had her personal. They stole $70,000 out of her personal savings account. And it's
Wow.
like personal cyber insurance would have covered that kind of thing. It's ridiculous. The world is so screwed up that even needs to exist in the first place. But
No, that's true. Every time I go into my local bank branch and I talk to my banker, I ask him about, hey, what's the craziest story since the last time we chatted?
yeah.
So I probably talk to him every couple of months, and he there was some famous country music artist where basically he said that like four different people came in and said that they were having an affair with this country artist and he was hiding it from his wife because he's married, and if they just wired him $80,000 he could finalize the divorce. It was those like love bombing
Oh
scams.
God, yeah.
And I was talking to the banker. I was like, well, what do you do in those situations? He's like, we do our best to try and talk the people out of it. But at the end of the day, if they
It's
won't
their
take
money.
no for an answer and we're like, hey, this is a scam, there's no way that this is like we will have to, like, they have to go get other approvals and everything. And they get 4 or 5 different people involved, but they have to send them,
Yeah.
they have to send the money. And it's
That's got
just
to
so
be
sad.
depressing sitting there just
Yeah.
knowing you just beg this person not to make the mistake and they're doing it anyways.
Send it to my bank account. Shit. Like, if you're going to get scammed, I'll give you some of the money back.
Yeah. Did you see the new Chat GPT came out that does the doctored photos really well?
Oh yeah. I've been having way too much fun taking every single empath photo on LinkedIn and turning it into a Studio Ghibli version. But yeah, I may or may not be familiar with that one, Dustin.
Yeah. I feel like that's going to make that kind of scam 10 times worse now that they can do it, so and so holding up a sign saying it's really me, like Connor, I love you, send me money kind of thing.
Yeah, like I remember like a whole thing it's like send a Snapchat of you holding a spoon or something. It's like that's just
Yeah.
gonna be doable now.
Yep. So that's a good. We started off on a good depressing note.
Well, we should have been talking about cyber insurance. We do have, contrary to popular belief, folks, we do have some talking points over here prepared for you. So I guess I'll be responsible. Start with the first one. What is the goal of cyber insurance in your mind, Dustin?
To make me money. No, so that's actually a really interesting point. Is a lot of people don't realize on insurance, the point of it is risk transfer, right? We know something's going to happen or there's a high likelihood. So rather than, say, let's choose simple round numbers because I'm a simple guy. We know that a breach may cost us up to $1 million. So I kind of have two options besides put my head in the sand. I can set aside $1 million, or I can buy a cyber insurance policy for like $1,800 a year and let the insurance company carry that risk. So whenever you're looking at it, there's a risk of we can mitigate it, reduce it as much as we can transfer it by buying an insurance policy, or we can take care of it in-house, that kind of thing. So that's really just insurance at its core, is transferring risk, offsetting it, right? It's a lot cheaper to pay $1,800 a year for a cyber policy than it is to have $1 million sitting in the bank. And then you have the law of large numbers, meaning if you get enough stuff together, a quantity of, let's say, small businesses, that the statistics are going to converge to a certain point. So as a group of, if we get 1,000 small businesses together, each paying $1,800, then when those events do occur, we can pay out that $1 million, and still, as an insurance company, they come out ahead, right?
Right.
So that's kind of the main, the concept of insurance as a whole. Why would we even buy an insurance policy?
I remember in a previous life that I refused to acknowledge at some points, I was a property manager. So I managed residential and commercial real estate. And I remember teaching a class to real estate agents who were getting their agent's license on property management. And one of the sections is, what are risk mitigation strategies? And I forget the acronym, but I always remember the 4 types. There's remove, reduce, transfer, or accept. And it boggled my mind how many people didn't understand that insurance is a transference mechanism. It's not mitigation. It's not even acceptance. Just like, quite literally, it's like, if this happens, I make you responsible now, and you have to pay for the damages as a result.
Right.
And a lot of people couldn't quite understand that until I would literally describe it to them for like an hour.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, it's interestingly though, we can touch on how some cyber insurance carriers now are saying they can mitigate as well, right?
Yeah.
Which is an interesting point of contention.
Are you talking about cyber insurance carriers also having a services wing that provides some of the security services that their policies mandate?
Yeah, exactly. So, hey, we can do your insurance, Connor, but we also are going to provide you security awareness training in MDR. I have very strong feelings on that. So, like in the business world, that it's that whole, are we going to build, are we going to partner or buy, right? So we need to offer this, that, or the other, right? I need to start offering security awareness training. So I can partner with somebody like Finn and offer it that way. I can build my own in-house, or I can go buy a security awareness training company. So where I kind of have a struggle is with these security services, and they're generally focused on small businesses, right? You're seeing a lot of them where it's 25 free licenses, 50 free licenses, or the package is 100 seats and under, that kind of thing. So really just talking the SMB space. There's a lot of good partnerships out there, right? Security awareness training. Oh God, here's a good Texanism for you. You can't swing a dead cat without hitting 20 security awareness training companies.
You're gonna have to explain that one to me.
I looked it up, and it's apparently like the cat of 9 tails from whenever they were on a boat. Like, you can't swing it around to whip the sailors, supposedly, but nobody says it outside of Texas now. I can't think of another good saying, sorry. But there's a lot of good security awareness training companies. Like, why, as an insurance company, are you building your own, right? It's not, I completely understand where there's a gap in certain things. If you look at, behind the firewall underwriting, right, where they're connecting to platforms, they're connecting on APIs. That's a really new concept, a really new technology. So yeah, you got Cowbell just announced that they released 30 of their own connectors for that. Totally makes sense. You got to build it because nobody else is doing it. But MDR, there's a ton of good options out there. Security awareness training, there's a ton of good options out there. Email security, just in general, there's a lot of good options out there. So personally, big fan of, find what's the best in class solutions, recommend those. If you need to get paid, do a referral thing, right? Or even resell. But it's, I don't like that a lot of these insurance companies have sat there and said, you know what, we're going to build our own to compete. At that point, that is a profit center. That is a cash grab. If you're looking at risk mitigation, better off grabbing, I'm a big fan of best in class products, right? I don't love the all-in-one platforms that do 100 different things because they're normally jack of all trades. On the insurance side, I want to see best in class in place for each individual security control.
I remember talking to you about how can underwriters and how can the carriers write sorry, not better policies, but understand who they should and should not be insuring so that they can write better policies in aggregate and as a result make more money. Like that's their goal, is to make more money by insuring people that are better risks.
Right.
And if they're in the business of transferring risk and they all of a sudden become into the business of mitigating risk, they're actually like double dipping in a way that would be like, we're going through security stuff right now internally. It's like if we had the same company assess that we were SOC 2 compliant and also provide all of the services, it's like who's the neutral party here that can actually take a neutral perspective on, are we mitigating, are we transferring, what are we actually doing? No longer exists if it's the same company.
Yeah, and interestingly, as MSPs for years, we've heard, MSPs can't assist in the claims process because that's the fox watching the henhouse kind of thing.
Right.
And then suddenly the rules have changed. There's actually, and I don't know a ton, this is kind of getting more into, the lawyers know the ins and outs of this, but there are certain state level insurance regulations where they can't provide both services. So now suddenly you see, oh, that's not, we're Beltex Insurance, that's Beltex Security. It's a totally different company, where it's like, all right. So there's a little bit of creativity going on there through those offerings. But the insurance there needs to be good underwriting, there needs to be good requirements, but it is an interesting again, for years, the industry's kind of line has been, you can't, MSP can't participate in claims because you were protecting the environment and failed. But now we're seeing a big shift to the other side of it. Good news for MSPs is, we're generally seeing pretty low uptake on that stuff. Not a ton of SMBs that are buying that, and the insurance companies also are not doing a great job selling it and pushing it. I feel like there's could be a big change there that makes that increase. But normally, people don't trust insurance a ton. Like, I don't think if you go out there and you look at, the most trusted companies in America, that I can't imagine there's a lot of insurance companies that are showing up on there. So they're usually not looking to see, I can't remember anybody that was ever like, oh, you're so-and-so, like, we'd love to just get the security services with this policy. Like, that conversation doesn't happen, right? If there's an MSP in place, if they're talking to an MSP, that's kind of where they prefer. That's your IT guy there, right? You're trusting them. That's your cybersecurity guy.
That makes sense. Do you think that this is a conversation I was getting in a debate the other day with somebody? Do you think cyber insurance requirements that currently exist, the ones that exist today, are they causing more harm than good? Are they actually creating security, or are they just reinforcing, as Wes would call it, the cybersecurity poverty line in a way that makes it much more, like many more people end up optimizing for the cybersecurity poverty line as opposed to legitimate security?
I think that ship has, so 2 years ago, completely different answer, right? I would have said, no, insurance is great. It's raised that cybersecurity poverty line. But what's happened is, fun little insurance nerd term for you, right? The hard market, meaning that it's a lot more difficult to get a policy. Prices are going up, underwriting requirements are increasing, that kind of thing. We are in a super soft market right now. Even a year ago, there's a couple carriers that have removed the requirement for multi-factor from their policies. You can go, I know 3 carriers off the top of my head, I can go get you a policy if you don't have multi-factor. That is insane to me. So right now, I said, 2 years ago, I would have been bragging about how much the insurance industry did. Right now, that bar is being lowered. So earlier we talked about how, it did a great job enforcing security awareness training, enforcing MFA. Like, we just pulled that bar back down. So now these companies that are, you know what, Connor, I hate MFA. This thing drives me crazy. I don't want to have to use my phone. Just let me log in. Can't use the whole thing if insurance requires it anymore, which was actually a really good stick whenever it came to these SMBs, getting them to do the right thing for security. So no, I don't think the industry is helping very much at this point. I wouldn't call it security theater, but it's just such a low baseline in a lot of cases. Last year I went to one of the conferences and it was, 2024, 2025 is going to be the year of MDR. I was like, guys, like, what the hell? I've been sitting, my MSP, we started using Huntress in early 2019 for MDR. I was like, this has been around forever. I've seen a ton of claims where We had a claim, Beltex had a claim the other day that that FortiGate 0-day, somebody got hit. But then at that point, the attackers tried to traverse the network. One of the big MSP MDR providers caught it, shut it down. So this is like a $19 million a year company. Got shut down. The company was back up and running in less than 36 hours. It was like a $60,000 claim. MDR is awesome. On our Beltex policy, you have to have MDR to even get a quote because it does such a good job on it. But it's difficult, it's expensive. Like, no, in the big scheme of things, it's not. It's effective. So no, I think right now the insurance industry is not doing a very good job on pushing cybersecurity forward.
Help me understand something. If the cyber insurance underwriters are in the business of writing policies for the best risk, why would they make a decision it just sounds so stupid to not require it in previous versions of their policies. So you have to do MFA, and then all of a sudden be like, you know what? We want to write so many. Are they trying to write so many policies that they can just spread out there? Is that what's actually happening?
Well, not even to spread out. So you want to hit like a certain baseline of profitability. But one of the interesting parts that I never had any idea until I got into the insurance industry, the actual customer of the carrier is not the policy holder. If they're selling direct, it is, right? But most of them, it's the insurance agent. So pretend, Beltex was a full carrier with my policy. My thing is I want to get all these agents out there pushing my policy, that kind of thing. So knowing that, even I'm going to say in the MSP channel that with Beltex, we're pretty unique in that everybody's either worked at an MSP or like Mike Riggs, who's my, founding partner, was at Perch. He's a legit cybersecurity guy. Almost everybody else like in the channel is sales guys and insurance guys. I can't think of any other like actual cybersecurity guys off the top of my head. So most of them, it's a struggle. You get the really smart guys like Will Brooks, right? He can sit down, he can talk about it, he knows how all this stuff works, but Will is 1 in a million. Most of them are sitting there, they don't understand enough to explain to you, why you need MFA, why you need security awareness training, besides, it's good for security and it's on the application. So these carriers are having to make that kind of easier for these agents to sell. They're almost, I don't want to say dumb it down because I don't mean in a condescending way, but if you're going in, I'll give you an example of a policy that we did the other day. So talking to a professional services firm, $5,000 cyber, $35,000 professional liability. If I'm an agent, where am I spending all my time and expertise, right? Professional liability. Cyber is not the focus for the majority of companies, so it's an afterthought. So as the carrier, hey, Connor, I know you're writing all this professional liability. I want you to sell my cyber also. I got to make it easy for you. I got to provide training. I got to make it easy to get quotes. I got to make it easy for you to explain to your clients. So that's what drives a lot of behavior. Once I realized that, I still think it's slightly insane, but it all made a lot more sense.
Is it really that hard to sell cyber insurance to a business, specifically, let's say here in America these days?
I don't feel like it, but also I feel like I'm uniquely positioned that, I've worked with SMBs, I've done cybersecurity, kind of moved into insurance. But if you go look, the statistics are still like, 30%, 40% businesses, SMBs don't have it kind of thing. Well, why would I need that? I have you, my MSP, things like that. Or, you and I's favorite line, cyber insurance is a scam. We see a lot. Go read on Reddit and, everybody there is going to tell you what a scam it is. Fun thing that came out the other day that can be publicly cited, CFC, who's one of the biggest cyber insurance carriers in America, they released I think it was their 2024 numbers. 99% of claims made were paid out in full.
I want to know what the 1% is. But yeah, 99% is way more than I thought it would be.
Yeah. Oh, there's some report floating around. It's one of those things that my wife tells me not to get in fights on LinkedIn, but I kind of want to. There's some cybersecurity company that's like 50% of claims are denied. It's like, where the hell did you get these numbers, guys? Like, we talked to 15 companies. It's one of those, all statistics are lies sort of thing. Well, yeah, you went and you called companies and said, was your claim denied? Oh, cool, we want to interview you, kind of thing. The numbers are pretty rare to where it does get denied on it. So
do you think that'll, I remember I believe it was 2021, loss ratios for cyber insurance policies by underwriters were flipped, and something had to change because they were losing it was like they were losing 10 cents on they were losing $1.10 for every dollar of policy that they wrote.
Yep.
And the answer to that in my mind is like, all right, we're just gonna raise the bar and we're not gonna write policies for people who don't actually have security that they can convince us of.
Yeah.
And now it's going back in the opposite direction, according to like the conversation we just had.
Yep.
Our loss ratio is going to come back with like, I feel like the smart actuaries that exist somewhere in some magical land, right next to the unicorns and the fountain of youth, are able to look at this pattern and be like, maybe it's not a great idea that we insure everyone and don't mandate that they do anything above, not even the floor. It's like they don't even mandate at this point that you have a door on your house. It's like, forget locking it at night. They're like, you don't need a door. You're okay. Hole in the side of your house, that's all right too. Just
put up a no soliciting, no thieving sign. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I got my ADT sign out front. Nobody's gonna break in here, even if there's a pot of gold in the window.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're going right down that path. I have a pretty strong gut feeling about what things are going to look like next year, and it's going to be messy. You're still seeing, I would say, like 2/3 of the carriers. Again, I'm talking in the SMB space, right? 2/3 of the carriers are doing smart stuff. It's the fact that anybody's doing stupid stuff at all. So I do think we're going to see, and we're already starting to see a little bit of what might be kind of that hard market, right? We deal with a lot of professional services firms, and we're starting to see some pullback. There's one of the bigger carriers got completely out of law firms, and another one got to where they used to offer larger amounts of coverage, and they capped professional services at $2 million in limits. So you're starting to see some early signs. Normally, and keeping in mind, I've only been doing the insurance side since like 2020, 2021. Normally, that's a precursor to rates going up.
Yeah.
And whenever that starts happening, we'll see better underwriting controls, that kind of thing. But yeah, it feels a little bit, assuming that's the way it fleshes out, it seems a little self-inflicted at this point.
One of the things that's not readily apparent about insurance is that the worst, if you're thinking about the pool of people that are insured, it is always the worst insurance. The best. How am I trying to say this? Sorry, I'm like stuttering. If I were trying to order at a restaurant, I'd have just walked out by now. It is the worst insurance risks that are subsidized by the best insurance risks.
Right.
And so if you are more risky, the only reason you have access to a policy is because there is a large enough number of less risky companies that are getting access to policies to like pay into the aggregate pot, so to speak. Yep. If I were a good security risk as a company, and I knew, like, I'd be shaming every other. It's like, you don't have MFA?
Yeah.
Are you a loser? Like, what's going? Like, I would actually be publicly and privately shaming companies that wouldn't do things as simple as turn on a set of features they're already purchasing through Entra. It's like,
yeah, it's all sitting there. I was talking to Nick at Cloud Capsule earlier, and it was, he's running me through some of the cool stuff that the platform does on configuring 365. And it was like, man, why isn't, here's our baseline. It's the kind of thing where I bet you, single digit percentage of SMBs are actually doing that kind of stuff. The fact that, security awareness training is great. Everybody should be doing it. And, you guys are still seeing sign up after sign up every day kind of thing. Like, that's why is everybody not doing security awareness training? Why is everybody not doing MFA? But again, the carrier's got, there's only a pie that's so big, so they're kind of competing. And unfortunately, that's one of the ways they compete, is making it easier to acquire insurance.
That's interesting. I guess, I'd be willing to bet that there's enough smart people behind all those decisions that they make way more money in aggregate by expanding the pool of insured.
Yeah.
By like a factor of, let's say it's 3 or 4x. But that's just so wild to me.
Yeah, and my thing has always been, I want to, from the insurance perspective, I want to focus on the bottom line. Yeah. I said, working with MSPs is like, we're trying to work with the top 20%, not with, the biggest. I don't want to have 40,000 MSPs. I want to have 2,000 MSPs that are the best in the industry. But, insurance, whenever it's a $1 billion carrier, is on the smaller side. So You got to, when I say the law of large numbers, we're talking pretty huge
Yeah.
numbers.
Single billion, that's a brokey in the
Yeah.
insurance world.
Yep. Small
I
baby carrier.
Yeah, I remember I got in a debate with somebody on LinkedIn about cyber insurance, and the debate that we were getting into is if you set the line in the sand, so to speak, of like what you need to qualify for a policy, and you set that so low that people end up making that a target. So basically, you are incentivizing people to have worse security, kind of like the conversation we had today, where it's like, oh, I'm not going to do all these things. Why would I go through the hassle of those? I'll just go get insurance and I don't even need to think about these things anymore. Right. And I always thought it about a local maximum. A local minima, where there's people who are on the worst end of that, whatever that cyber insurance policy requires for security, that will then upgrade because, all right, I want to go get cyber insurance. I'm not that far off. Here we go.
Yeah.
And then there are people who are just on the other side of that with a little bit more security who will downgrade. They're like, I don't need to be doing all this crap. I don't need to field password resets or MFA resets from my users anymore because I'm just not going to enable it. Hell yeah, I'm in. Sign me up. I actually know people that say things like that. So I always thought about
it. There's an MSP, if I remember right, I want to say New Jersey, somewhere in New England. And yeah, he says cyber insurance is a scam. Go get a cheaper policy, get off of it. And then, and they're doing pretty well. Like it's a good size MSP. And he's like, oh yeah, like it, brings in more money to us and then it saves our customers money. Like, all right, man, that's, it might work for a little bit, but that's going to be a rough, you're setting yourself up for really big failure whenever it comes down to it.
I wonder how many, I'd like to know how many breaches his customers or her customers have experienced.
Well, the other one that made me think too is Will Brooks and I had always joked is, carriers hate this one trick is getting that policy, no security, you do have a breach, it pays out, but then, your rates go through the nose and then maybe second breach, third breach, and then you just can't get a policy at that point. So not saying it's smart or it's a good strategy, but it is a strategy that you can do, that minimus of security and have a policy. That does work one time very well.
Yeah. And for my next trick, I will obliterate my chances of getting cyber insurance in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we just finished, somebody had a claim on a policy. We just finished renewal that I was pitching in to help on, and their rate went up 5x.
From like, what's a typical rate that a small business? Got it. A year, or is that a monthly premium?
Per year.
Got it.
Yeah, that's, I mean, if you're looking at a business, we just did so this is on our policy, which is, cheap, but not the cheapest. On ours, that we had a medical office that's $7 million a year, medical office that was like, I think $6,000. Like that's pretty decent sized business. We just did a nonprofit in Florida that was 1 or 2 employees, $700 for $1 million in coverage. So that's the one thing that really triggers me is cyber insurance is expensive. Like, you should go buy this $300 warranty instead. It's like, guys, you can get $1 million coverage for, I think our average policy size has been around $2,000. $2 million. We saw it the other day. We did a $2 million policy that was $2,600 a year. Not that much.
You should do a bit where it's things more expensive than your cyber insurance policy. And it's like 1 month of Amazon purchases at my personal residence.
Have them all stacked up in front of the. I got 3 kids, man. We do a lot of Amazon.
So do I. And if Amazon Fresh delivered to my house, I would never go shopping for food again. I'd just be using that. The
problem on the grocery deliveries, I feel like, is they go in there and they're like, here's the crappiest tomatoes that we could find. Like, let's get these out of here kind of thing. Some of the delivery stuff is a little questionable on quality.
I don't know. I'm pretty much ordering potato smileys, bagel bites, dino nuggets. You can't get the normal nuggets. You got to get the dino nuggets and then ranch dressing. That's
oh, you're safe then.
Yeah, got to get the protein and the carbs in. That's what.
And just wait till your kids are older. You're gonna have to get like 3 bags of dino nuggets a week.
That's a lot of dino nuggets. With the price of chicken and eggs these days, I'm gonna have to stop buying cyber insurance. I'm gonna need that. Yeah, I'm gonna need that yearly premium back. You had mentioned security awareness training, so I'd be remiss if I did not also mention every conversation that I've had with you and with others around what is actually required in awareness training. It's the requirements for awareness training by cyber insurance is even worse than like the common frameworks. So like I was literally going through the CSF yesterday, and there's 3.2.1, 2.2, and 2.3. There's only 3 subpoints for what's required by awareness training. And it's like all of them are so loosely defined that like if you delivered a slideshow presentation to a group of people on any frequency, like every couple of years, it's like you're secure. You're good to go. Yeah, and cyber insurance is worse. It's like cyber insurance is like, have you thought about doing this? It's like,
Yeah,
I'm thinking about it right now. Do I qualify? And then it's like, yep, you do. Here you go. Here's your policy. Give me money now, please. Yeah.
So I've told people, if you are using cyber insurance as kind of your North Star for your cybersecurity, like that is a huge red flag on its own. You should be able to go through these applications and check, 80% of the stuff, right? Not everything actually matters on the rate. That's a fun part they don't tell you. Pen testing for an SMB, unless you're a SaaS company, unless you're like pen testing for you guys, that matters, right? But for like a CPA firm or for a manufacturing company that doesn't have anything web facing, that's barely going to affect the rate, if at all.
Yeah.
So, 80%, you're probably in good shape. Where was I going on this? So don't be using, if it's like, oh, we should be doing this because the cyber insurance is asking for it, like that's a red flag that your cybersecurity is probably garbage. Yeah. Because to your point is, I think quarterly is the most aggressive that I've seen any carriers, again, for SMB, actually like requiring that's affecting the rate. Once a year security awareness training, like what's the point? They're going to learn more from watching the news and just having the crap scared out of them from all the different hacking attacks than once a year. And then also right, we're going into tax season, or I guess we're in the thick of tax season, stuff like that, where it's very topical with what's going on right now. Yeah. There's a huge advantage in that as well.
I remember right when the COVID pandemic started, we started phishing people locally here in Delaware. I'm from Delaware. And we had partnered with a local government organization that like serves the counties and the state up here. And like 77% of people that we sent timely COVID phishes to actually just got phished. Yeah. It's like would go so far as to enter credentials into web pages that we sent them to. And I was like, damn near 8 out of 10 people, like 4 out of every 5. Oh, look at me. I'm reducing fractions on a call. Right. I was like, holy cow, this is, and then it reminded me of like the quintessential scam that people have always that people fell for that I always remember is when the earthquakes in Haiti in like 2012 occurred and like 100 different fake Red Cross websites got stood up and made like tens of millions of dollars in donations by people who wanted to help. And it was all just fake. Like it was all people not affiliated in any way with Red Cross that were just scamming people out of their money. Things like that happen. And then literally when I was building cybersecurity tools right before I started Fin, it was like, what do you guys actually care about? And then explain cybersecurity 0 days and all these issues. And we're going to look at the packages that people are downloading and running by looking at the DLLs that they pull into the way they need to run and the order in which they do it. They're like, nah, screw all that. Several of my employees just bought $400 in Apple gift cards and gave them away. Can you prevent that? It's like, just tell them not to buy them. Like what? Like it was like such a foreign concept. How hard can it be? Turns out, very hard. And here I am 4 years into it and still not accomplishing the outcome we want. So yeah.
No, but it helps. I always use the example. People will be like, oh, it doesn't really. On the MSP side, we have a client since 2019 that came in. It's an older group law firm, so just not tech savvy, right? So coming in with doing test phishing, they were looking at, it was like a 70% failure rate. Yeah. We do it monthly. And so I did a presentation at their firm. They still let me out to talk to people sometimes. So I did kind of to your point, right? I came in and did the lunch presentation. And their phishing rate though has gone down to, it's like 1 person every 3rd month.
Yeah.
So it's like, that was literally, there's been an improvement, and it's mostly the same group too. It's not like they brought in, more savvy people, but it was just those test fishes, the training. And it's funny too, is I don't know if you guys see this, but sometimes people get like kind of pissed off at the test phishing Like, I'm
Yeah.
not going to let you trick me, Connor. Like, I'm not clicking it. It's like, great. You're still not clicking it. That's the point. I don't care who you think is out to get you. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Be mad at IT about getting test fished. Just don't get caught.
No, it's true. I always say two things. One, um, if your security, if your security program is so flimsy that a single person clicking on something or entering in one credential can cause it all to crumble, it's like you've planned for the brittleness. You haven't
Yeah.
created actual security. And the second thing that I always say is that doesn't mean you shouldn't try to reduce
Right.
the amount of social engineering that happens.
Yeah.
It's like always plan for it to happen, but you should still try and prevent it.
Right.
There was I guess we are 40 minutes into this, but I have a story. When we were early on in Fin, there was another company that was doing a security awareness training, and how do I want to explain this? They didn't randomize the web pages that they would send people to when they got phished, that would then call back to the security awareness training system to let them know that they had gotten phished. So you could just iterate through every single phish test that they had ever sent out as a company and get everyone to be phished by
Yeah.
visiting the web pages. We didn't know this
Oh,
at the time.
yeah.
And we ended up being the reason that like a company had 100% phish rate
Nice.
for like 4 years worth of data.
Yeah. Just looking at it.
Yeah, and then we just submitted it as a bug to
Funny.
their
Yeah.
provider. We're like, ah, your provider has a bug, and look at what we found.
Yeah.
But it was funny.
Man, I remember going back, I want to say like 2014 was one of the early MSP channel security awareness training companies whenever they launched phish testing.
Yep.
And the first time I was like, this is awesome. We deployed it. We're like, all right, cool. How do we see who did it? And they're like, oh, we don't track that. I was like, what? I'm like, well, yeah, it's this new test phishing. Like the people will be embarrassed and they'll know and they'll take the training. It's like, guys, we got to be able to track it and kind of statistics, at least percentage wise. But that was something, it was such a new concept at the time that just didn't even think about that level of reporting.
Have you ever known anyone to get embarrassed and then immediately do the exact right thing all the time? No.
In the minority.
What should MSPs take away from all this? We've talked about a lot today. What's one thing you want them to leave with?
Don't let cyber insurance dictate your security, especially in the MSP space. Like I talked about SMBs in general, right? That's kind of a red flag. Your security's bad. If you're an MSP and cyber insurance is dragging your security along, that is a really bad sign. There's the whole MSP versus MSP debate of, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I think it's mostly marketing, honestly, but that's just me.
The
But
coveted second S.
yeah, exactly. I'll come sign up for my coaching service. I'll sell you the second S. But part of MSP, like security is part of IT. I know I'm going to trigger a bunch of people saying that, but to a degree, like security foundational, right? Let's call it that. Foundational security is part of IT these days. Multi-factor security awareness training, stuff like that. So you should be a couple steps ahead of cyber insurance, supporting your customers, offering, and you can't make them do anything, but pushing them strongly to do things. By the time that, say you have a customer that doesn't do security awareness training, by the time that they're ready to do it, that the conversation should be, hey, Connor, that thing you told me to do 20 times, I'm ready to do it finally.
21 times. That's how many times it takes. I always say a very similar thing about people who describe their security program by describing by naming the tools that they deploy.
Yeah.
It's like if the reason you are using certain tools is tantamount to vendor education,
right?
You're probably building Swiss cheese more than you're building security.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, I'd be more convinced that you are. And I'm by far and away not a security expert, but it's just like we should probably start by like you should get cyber insurance as a side effect of I have legitimate security, or I have a shred of legitimate cybersecurity going on here.
You should have whenever you go. That's another one where it's like, oh, only this carrier will offer you something. That's usually a red flag too. Like you should typical small business, we're able to get 5 or 7 options for them.
Right.
because the carriers are kind of lining up. They're like, these guys know what they're doing. They have good security. Like, we'd love to give you a policy. So.
Yeah. If folks wanted to learn more about Beltex or you, where should they go?
www.beltex.com. I will tell you guys the origin of that name because it's a hilarious story. But you got to meet me for a beer at a conference. And then you can email me, Dustin at. We have our own policy. We actually have access to some certain Lloyd's of London policies also that you can only get through us. And we have the world's easiest MSP partner program that you sign an NDA and we're off to the races. No crazy onboarding or tools you have to log into, anything like that. We're just here when you need us.
No tools and uncrazy onboarding. It's onboarding, but it's not crazy.
Yeah, nice and simple. That's the nice part about me also being an MSP. I'm like, here's the way I would want to do it. It makes it a little easier for everybody.
It does. Absolutely. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining today and being the insurance expert in the room.
Appreciate the invite.
Oh, anytime. I'm sure we'll be talking real soon. Good to see you.
Thanks.